Hello, Ian here from Dark Blades Workshop. Welcome back to another video. In this one we're looking at doing some Grimdark Zombies. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I did this really quick method for painting these 3D printed zombies. So it's only a prime, a couple of Citadel paints, an enamel wash, and we're done. Hope you enjoy it. Cheers.
Right, full disclosure, I've already primed these grey out in the garage, but I only did a quick dusting, so I'm going to give them a coat of black from below. Overly concerned about from above because we're going to be spraying some white now from above to get a nice Zenithal prime. And I'm going to be using Tamiya flat white through the airbrush again, but you can stick to rattle cans as well. Or if you don't want to use any rattle cans because of the cold weather or something like that, it's perfectly okay, just the dry brush, but as long as you concentrate the strokes going down that way, so that the top areas stay lighter, you'll get the same effect. Highlighted different areas and with more intensity in different areas. That's the beauty of using an airbrush, really, as you can concentrate the intensity on the face or the chest or on the belly, or not on the face at all and on the belly. I'm going to go in again over here, maybe a little bit more on the face, but yeah, just have a play about. You can probably see with the lady here that we've obviously highlighted the top of the chest, but not underneath, and the top half of the skirt. So have a play around. You can highlight one side if you want, the left side, or I'm not sure if I've done it on any of these, but look, yeah, it's more on the right hand side there, and not so much on that side. So yeah, just try and get a little bit of contrast going. So the next stage will be getting the paint out. This is the stage where I've added the colours into the zombies. The first one there is a mix of these two contrast paints. First time using them, really, and turned out all right, not too bad. Second one, this guy here, the apron thing is wildwood. And I think this one turned out the best because you can still see, the Zenithal shading. It looks pretty good. That was that one. And then the last one, I wanted to keep the red
like a consistent colour throughout the army. So I made up a huge batch of it, which I keep in a dropper bottle, but it's a mix of these two. But you know, any red will do. And finally, the metallic is jet exhaust, but you know, any metallic colour will do. So that's that stage completed. As you see, I haven't touched the skin yet. I'm going to leave it white, and we'll move on to the next stage. The next up is the messy stage, where I go back to the airbrush and we'll give them an enamel wash using a 50-50 mix of streaking grime and engine grime. So streaking grime gives us a nice brown colour, but the engine grime will give us a nice gritty texture to the paint as well. And that's a bit of a grey, dirty colour. But together they look pretty good, but you'll see it as it comes through the airbrush. But I put a bit of black wash in with it as well, just to darken it all down, but you can't really see the colour in the pot. You'll see it as it comes out of the airbrush. And we'll be spraying, covering the whole thing, and then we'll be removing them with some odorless thinners. So I'm not going to cover it in one coat. I'm just going to build it up slowly. So I'll leave that dry a bit. Go back to the first one and do a second coat. Forget the legs, I missed them on the first pass. Just cover the whole thing. So I'm going to let this dry for about, I don't know, 15-20 minutes, and then we'll get the thinners out. Okay, so first up is the red one with armour. Using a flat brush. It's my favourite one for this kind of technique. It's actually a brush from ammo, but any flat brush will do. And you can remove a certain amount just by using the dry brush, but you get a lot better result if you dip it into some odorless thinner, get rid of some of the excess. And remove the wash. And what I tend to do is just work my way down the model. Not a drama. I think nearly there. There's a little more off the top of the head.
do for that one. Next one. And if you did the Zenithal priming, you can just accentuate that by not actually removing from the bottom of the model. It's totally up to you what kind of look you're going for. I should do on that one. This stuff gives, well, in my opinion, pretty much most perfect wash, because it just goes into all the recesses. It doesn't pool, and it looks good. Let's use my finger to get rid of the raised areas. Now for like a tabletop standard, I'd leave that now. I wouldn't do any more to the skin. But the ones in the front rank will go on to how we do the skin. Using some different tones. And the last one, oh no, we've done that one, haven't we? Oh, this one's fallen off his base as well. So this was the grey one. It doesn't look as good as the brown version, but it'll do for a bit of variation in the unit. I think I've done about 100 of these now, and you have to utilise the mirror option on the printer. Otherwise they all end up looking the same. And I think there's only, I don't know, about 15 different sculpts, but they're all amazing. Okay, right, so we'll leave that one. Next up is rust. I've already given the metallic part a light rust wash. There you go. And now I'm going to mix that 50-50 with light rust deposits because there's more texture in this one. And I'm just going to use a synthetic brush. And I've mixed the two on the palette there, and then that's light rust deposits. I'll put a bit more on there now. Light rust deposits on its own, you'll see it's quite a bright orange. So, I'll take some of this one. Just dab off some of the excess. I'm just going to place it a bit randomly layers you do of the light rust wash, the better it looks. It's all a matter of personal choice though. And now I've gone, while that's still wet, I've got the light rust deposits. I'm just going to speckle it on different places, and then we'll give it, I'll try and blend them in later on. So same again, I've done the first couple of light rust washes on this one. So I'm going in with a 50-50 mix again. And just like a sort of dry brush and a stipple, just to get a bit of variation. And then the deposits on its own. It might look a bit stark now, but when you blend it in, it looks a lot better. Okay, so that's been drying about 20 minutes, and have a look and see if you want to add any more, but I'm using the same brush. I think I've got enough, so I'm just, it's slightly damp with thinners, and all I'm doing is stippling over where I've been to try and blend it back in. See on this one. It's just like feathering off the edges. And obviously the more thinner you've got on the brush, the more you'll remove. You just got to be careful not to remove everything, because it's a pointless exercise otherwise. But I'm fairly happy with that, because once you put thinners on it again, it will dry differently. So let it dry, reevaluate, see if you need to remove any more. Okay, now it's time to sort out the flesh for, say, the front rank, because to be honest, I'll just leave that flesh now because it looks pretty good on its own. So the ones at the front we'll spend a bit more time on. So what I've done already is I've mixed these two, grey brown and vampiric flesh. So we've got basically a lighter version of grey brown, but it's a bit green. So I've done one sort of really quick layer, and now I'm doing a second layer, but I'm concentrating up towards the areas that have extra light. So I'm not going to touch the bottom of the stomach area, top of the pectorals, across the shoulders. I'm not being particularly careful about it. And then I'll get some more on the skull. So I'll pull the pigment up towards the crown. And we can pick out individual features like the nose and cheekbones. Okay, I haven't done this on camera for a while. It's quite awkward. And come down to the eyebrows there. I have to get a better brush, I think. So that's the first coat on. So I'll do the same with the rest of these guys, and I'll show you how they look. Okay, so for this stage I've added more of the flesh colour in. Sorry, my lighting was a bit rubbish on the last bit. So I've added more flesh and a bit more water, and I've changed my brush, and I'm going to push the pigment to the top and middle of the chest, and the top of each muscle group, across the top of the belly. So I'll do a couple of coats of this just to raise the brightness of the skin tone. See, it's a lot brighter on the second pass. Right, I'll leave that dry. Okay, next stage is add more vampiric flesh. It's almost just vampiric flesh on its own. And same again, push the pigment up to the top of the chest and towards the middle, but not all the way in. Just along the top of that fold. Just a smaller highlight area now. The cheekbones. Nose, and I've got another little bit of the same colour, but I've thinned it down, and I'll just glaze it up to the crown again. Yeah, it's getting there. I'll show you a different one. I'll see him come off his base again. my fault. Only put a little bit of glue on because I'll be transferring them to the scenic base when they're done. It's a bit of a pain really because they come off quite easily. Must be a weak glue, I think. Okay, so I'll show you this one as well. So he's coming along. Okay. So next up are the boils or the pus, and I've used a mix of this brown with dirty yellow and something like, you know, the dirty yellow is something like Avalanche Sunset. So I did a couple of thin coats. The second coat was more towards the top of the boil. And now I've got a thinned down cavalry brown, and I'm just pulling it down to the base of the boil and around the outside of it. Pick this model because there's more boils on it than any other, and you can hopefully see what I'm doing. So I'll leave that dry. So I'm going back to the original mix, and it's been watered down, and I'm just going to pull the pigment up towards the top of the boil. Other things that I've done is the eyes. I've done a dark blue grey in the socket, and then like a desaturated kind of bluey grey, and then a light blue on top of that, just to give it that Game of Thrones White Walker kind of vibe. And yeah, that was I think that's everything apart from the metallics. I've gone in with you know, a silver to put some chipping on and stuff like that. And the only other things I really need to do is the wooden barrel, but I'm not going to bother with that because you're not going to see it, because he's, you know, about the 4th or 5th rank back. So I'm not too worried about that. And the only thing I'm going to do now is to splatter them with some red, and they're done. Okay, so they're all based. I did put them on this kind of display base because I doubt I'll have a game with them as such. So it's just purely for fun. And yeah, I really like them. Superb sculpts. Can't really fault them. They probably look pretty good scaled up as well, so I might do one of those in the future. So yeah, we did the blood splatter by blowing an airbrush through a brush with Blood for the Blood God on it, and it give it, you know, you blast it and it gives a nice little splatter effect.
I think the limited palette works, so I carried that through all of them, and it was really quick to do. But the main thing is using the grime and the brown wash and removing it with the thinners, and it just gives a perfect skin tone. And then with the characters at the front, I spent a bit more time on with that colour recipe with the vampiric flesh. Yeah, good fun. Good fun. So these would be really quick to do, because it's only the guys in the front rank you need spend a bit more time on, but yeah, it'll look really good. So it's thank you to Highlands Miniatures for making these beauties. They do the villagers, zombie villagers, zombie warriors, which is the guys with the weapons, the vampire, the chapel, and all the gravestones too. So if you go over to their My Mini Factory site, you'll be able to pick them up. And they do a superb deal on their Patreon. I think they're doing dwarfs at the minute and swamp goblins, who look remarkably similar to night goblins. But yeah, the quality on the sculpts is amazing. The only other thing is the giant and the crows that I added. You can find them on My Mini Factory as well. So that's it. Really enjoyable. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next for this army, but I've got to keep it going now. I've got huge unit of zombies. I've got about 90 odd skeletons done, and a unit of crusader themed cavalry. So I'm not sure what to do next. We'll have a look and see what other sculpts they do, and we'll take it from there. But yeah, really good fun. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. As usual, if there's nothing you don't understand, get in touch in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But that's it from me for now, and hopefully we'll see you very soon with another video.